Previously, we explored the Nile River's immense significance for Egypt and Ethiopia. We delved into its historical importance, the civilizations it nurtured, and its vital role in shaping cultures. Today, we continue our journey, uncovering more about the Nile's impact on trade, politics, and daily life in ancient times. Join us as we further explore the lifeblood of these ancient lands. The Nile River, spanning over 6,650 kilometers, is the longest river in the world and has been a cornerstone of civilizations for millennia. It flows through 11 countries in northeastern Africa, but its significance is most profound in Egypt and Ethiopia. While both nations benefit from the Nile, its importance is particularly emphasized in Egypt due to historical, cultural, geographical, and economic factors. This essay will explore why the Nile is crucial for Egypt, while also considering its importance for Ethiopia. The Nile's historical and cultural significance in Egypt. Ancient Egypt and the Nile. The ancient Egyptian civilization, one of the world's oldest, thrived along the Nile River's banks. The river's annual flooding deposited nutrient-rich silt on the surrounding land, creating fertile grounds for agriculture. This natural irrigation system allowed Egyptians to cultivate crops such as wheat and barley, essential for their sustenance and economy. The Nile was thus integral to Egypt's agricultural productivity and, by extension, its development as a powerful and enduring civilization. Moreover, the Nile served as a vital transportation and communication route, facilitating trade and cultural exchange. Boats laden with goods traversed the river, connecting Upper and Lower Egypt and enabling commerce with neighboring regions. The river's centrality in daily life is reflected in Egyptian mythology and religion, where it was personified by the god Hapi and revered as a source of life and abundance. Modern Egypt and the Nile. In modern times, the Nile continues to be a lifeline for Egypt. The majority of Egypt's population resides along its banks, and the river supports agricultural activities, provides drinking water, and is crucial for industries. The construction of the Aswan High Dam in the 1960s exemplifies the Nile's importance. The dam not only controls flooding but also generates hydroelectric power, contributing significantly to Egypt's energy supply. The Nile's significance extends to Egypt's cultural identity. The river is a symbol of national pride and historical continuity, representing a connection to the ancient civilization that once flourished along its shores. Festivals and rituals celebrating the Nile underscore its enduring cultural resonance. The Nile's geographical and economic importance in Egypt. Water resource management. Egypt is predominantly arid, with the Nile providing over 95% of its water resources. The river's flow is thus critical for irrigation, drinking water, and sanitation. Efficient water management is vital, given the limited rainfall and increasing demands from a growing population and expanding agricultural and industrial sectors. The Aswan High Dam exemplifies efforts to harness the Nile's resources. By controlling floods and storing water, the dam has enabled year-round irrigation, mitigating the risks of drought and water scarcity. The reservoir, Lake Nasser, also serves as a crucial water reserve during dry periods. Agricultural productivity. Agriculture remains a cornerstone of Egypt's economy, employing a significant portion of the population and contributing to food security. The Nile's waters irrigate vast tracts of farmland, enabling the cultivation of crops such as rice, cotton, and sugarcane. The river's predictable flooding patterns, enhanced by modern irrigation techniques, ensure consistent agricultural output. Furthermore, the Nile Delta, where the river fans out before emptying into the Mediterranean Sea, is one of the world's most fertile regions. This deltaic region supports intensive farming and is a critical zone for Egypt's food production and exports. Economic activities beyond agriculture, the Nile supports various economic activities, including fishing, transportation, and tourism. The river's fish stocks provide a vital protein source for local communities, while its waters facilitate the movement of goods and people. Traditional feluccas and modern vessels ply the Nile, underpinning commerce and connectivity. Tourism, a significant revenue generator for Egypt, is closely tied to the Nile. Iconic sites such as the pyramids of Giza, Luxor, and Aswan attract millions of visitors annually, many of whom embark on Nile cruises to explore the country's rich heritage. The river thus plays a pivotal role in sustaining Egypt's tourism industry. The Nile's role in Ethiopia. Source of the Blue Nile. Ethiopia is home to the Blue Nile, which contributes approximately 85% of the Nile's total flow. The Blue Nile originates from Lake Tana in the Ethiopian highlands, cascading through rugged terrain before joining the White Nile in Sudan. This upstream location gives Ethiopia significant hydrological influence over the river's flow. The Blue Nile's waters are crucial for Ethiopia's agricultural and energy needs. The fertile highlands benefit from seasonal rains, supporting subsistence farming and cash crops. Additionally, the Blue Nile's flow is harnessed for hydroelectric power generation, with the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, being a notable example. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, the GERD, Africa's largest hydroelectric project, epitomizes Ethiopia's aspirations to harness the Nile for national development. The dam aims to generate over 6,000 megawatts of electricity, addressing Ethiopia's energy deficit and fostering economic growth. The project is also expected to provide water for irrigation, boosting agricultural productivity and food security. However, the GERD has sparked geopolitical tensions, particularly with downstream countries Egypt and Sudan. Concerns over water rights and flow regulation have prompted diplomatic negotiations and regional cooperation efforts to ensure equitable resource sharing and mitigate potential conflicts. Comparative importance of the Nile for Egypt and Ethiopia. Dependency on the Nile. While both Egypt and Ethiopia depend on the Nile, the nature and extent of this dependency differ. Egypt's reliance on the Nile is more pronounced due to its arid climate and limited alternative water sources. The river is indispensable for Egypt's survival, underpinning its agriculture, industry, and daily life. In contrast, Ethiopia's water resources are more diverse, with multiple river systems and higher rainfall levels. Although the Blue Nile is vital for Ethiopia's energy and agricultural needs, the country is not as singularly dependent on the Nile as Egypt. This relative abundance of water resources affords Ethiopia greater resilience in the face of hydrological variability. Economic contributions. The Nile's contribution to Egypt's economy is multifaceted, encompassing agriculture, industry, and tourism. The river's waters irrigate farmlands, support manufacturing processes, and attract tourists, collectively sustaining livelihoods and generating revenue. In Ethiopia, the Nile's economic significance is primarily tied to hydroelectric power generation and irrigation. The GERD exemplifies efforts to leverage the river for national development, with anticipated benefits in terms of electricity supply, agricultural output, and regional integration. However, Ethiopia's broader economy is less reliant on the Nile compared to Egypt's comprehensive dependency. Challenges and opportunities. Water security and management. Ensuring water security is a pressing challenge for both Egypt and Ethiopia. Population growth, climate change, and competing demands necessitate efficient water management and regional cooperation. The Nile Basin Initiative, NBI, exemplifies collaborative efforts to promote sustainable water use and equitable resource sharing among riparian states. For Egypt, modernizing irrigation infrastructure, reducing water losses, and adopting conservation practices are critical for mitigating water scarcity. Ethiopia, meanwhile, faces the challenge of balancing hydroelectric development with downstream impacts, necessitating transparent dialogue and cooperative frameworks. Geopolitical dynamics. The Nile's transboundary nature underscores the importance of diplomacy and regional cooperation. The GERD has highlighted the need for mechanisms to address disputes and ensure mutual benefits. Negotiations between Egypt, Ethiopia, and Sudan aim to establish agreements on dam operation, water allocation, and dispute resolution. Regional integration efforts, such as the African Union's involvement in Nile discussions, offer opportunities for collective action. Strengthening institutional frameworks and fostering trust among Nile Basin countries are essential for sustainable and equitable resource management. Conclusion. The Nile River is a lifeline for both Egypt and Ethiopia, though its importance is particularly pronounced in Egypt. The river's historical, cultural, geographical, and economic significance has shaped Egypt's civilization and continues to underpin its development. In Ethiopia, the Nile, particularly the Blue Nile, is crucial for hydroelectric power and agriculture, exemplified by the GERD. Balancing the needs and aspirations of Nile Basin countries requires cooperative approaches to water management and diplomacy. Ensuring sustainable and equitable use of the Nile's resources is vital for regional stability and development. As Egypt and Ethiopia navigate these challenges, the Nile remains a shared heritage and a symbol of the intertwined destinies of its riparian nations.